For me, really, the biggest skill that I've found that's transferred, I suppose, the best has been my resilience. During my career, I had a few setbacks with injury, three quite significant back injuries, one which required surgery, and at that point, I felt actually it could be the end of my career. It was career threatening. So to come back, to go through the rigors of rehab, the length of rehab, and to be able to come back and still be successful and actually get back to being above where I was when I got injured was a huge turning point for me. Really, it showed me a strength of character that I probably underestimated in myself, and that's now reaping its rewards in my retirement because it shows that I can be that resilient. And in general, professional sport breeds great resilience amongst athletes. You have so many highs, so many lows. You have to deal with so many different emotions. You deal with being completely in form, where it's just the most natural thing ever to go on that sports field. You don't even think about executing your skills. To going through times when it's really hard, you're out of form, and you think about every single bit that makes up just being out on that field. It's exhausting. And you have to go through these. And I went through it for 11 years. It was brilliant. I wouldn't change it for the world, but it was tough at times, and it really taught me the power of resilience. Now, in my retirement, going into future careers, looking around and working out what it is I want to do long term, this resilience is really shining through for me and showing me that I can achieve anything. And it doesn't matter what challenge is thrown at me, I'll get through it and I'll be able to succeed. And that's been the best thing for me, I think. Also, communication, time management are just key skills that are taken for granted when you play because you are in a very structured environment, but it really does teach you the value of those. Communicating with other people in a changing room is quite easy for me when I was a cricketer, because you sit around with these guys, you spend 4 days on the bounce with them, you travel around the country with them, and you take communication for granted, but it's such a valuable skill and one which is just such a powerful tool, because if you're able to effectively communicate, learn how to manage other people, learn what makes people tick, and be honest about how you're feeling and be able to talk to people, it's a huge, huge skill to actually get stuff done. Time management, underrated. Being able to be an organised individual, get emails back on time, manage accounts effectively, deliver when you say you'll deliver, work to goals that are regularly assessed, and deliver on targets in time and when they're due in is something which athletes know how to do, because they know how to manage their own time when they're doing their training sessions, their gym sessions, skill sessions, everything. I think also quite a key one is just the honesty that you develop over your career. Every athlete will, behind closed doors, look into the mirror and say, I wasn't good enough today, or I'm happy with that result today, but I could get better here. Athletes are always trying to get better, and they learn how to be honest with themselves. That is so vital when you go through the exposing retirement phase. What are you going to do? What's your next career? How are you earning a living now? What job do you want to do that's going to make you happy? What excites you? And going through that process requires a lot of honesty, because you're going to pursue lots of different avenues. But when it comes back to it, you need to make sure that you're going to be happy in that next career. And only you can be honest with yourself. But going into the work and going into a working environment, honesty is a crucial skill that athletes have, because they know how to make themselves better. If they don't succeed on a day, they go home, they work out why, they come back the next day, and they're going to be better. They've evaluated themselves, they've been honest with themselves, and that is an underrated skill. I think the most positive thing that happened for me, and which allowed me to make the decision to retire, was being fairly sensible at the back end of my career financially, and having one eye on the future. So by that I mean I managed my finances to allow me some breathing space when I did make the decision to retire. I had also internships during my playing days, which provided me with a strength to my CV to allow me to go and pursue various different career routes. But I think when I made the decision to retire, in that moment, just taking a step back and giving myself some breathing space, knowing that I could financially, was the most liberating part of the process, because it allowed me the space to clear my head and to understand the direction I wanted to go. I find if I'd rushed into something, I would have ended up hopping around too many different careers, trying too many different things, and I don't think I would have settled, and it would have set me back. So allowing myself some breathing space to talk to as many different people as I could within my network to try and understand different career paths, different career roles, and also speak to recently retired cricketers within my network was probably one of the most valuable and most positive decisions I made, because it allowed me to see that I wasn't in it on my own. There were other people who were going through exactly the same thing that I was going through, both positive and negative, and there's no shame in saying that it's a bit of a daunting process, because it is. It doesn't matter how well you're set up to leave, how successful you've been in your career, you're back to almost square one again, but you can elevate and speed up that process by buying yourself some time financially and building your network to have people around you that are willing to support you, guide you, and give up their time to help you pursue what it is that you want to do. So for me, the most valuable bit of advice and the most positive thing that I did was take a step back, just stop, let it all sink in that I'd retired, that after 11 years of doing the same thing, of being a professional sportsman, of being constantly under the microscope and being evaluated and assessed and benchmarked and structured, is just take some time away. And I built myself up to be able to do that financially, but also surround myself with the right people to allow myself to be comfortable in my retirement. Family, friends, colleagues who'd retired, and speak to the guys who I was very close to who were still playing. And that helped me immeasurably. It was the most positive thing I could have done. Not rushing into a new job, which I didn't really want to do. Just taking a few months out. I went on holiday, I worked out what I wanted to do, and that was the best and most positive thing that I could have done for my life at the time. I think this is the bit where an athlete needs to be fairly honest with themselves, and it's a loss of identity. Honestly, the hardest thing about retirement is your loss of identity. You go from being a sportsman, a professional sportsman, a cricketer, to being what? What are you? It's quite a revealing process, really, and one that I found I wasn't really prepared for it, if I'm honest. I don't think anybody is. I felt that I understood myself very well during my playing career, and by the end of it I understood what made me tick, what got me angry, what got me happy, what made me be able to go out there and perform. But more often than not, you don't realise, and I think a lot of athletes won't understand this, but subconsciously you define yourself as being a professional sportsman in whatever sport that you are. And for me, my whole identity was built around being a professional cricketer. And the hardest thing is not being one, not having the structure to your life, not having a sense of purpose, goals to hit, games to win, being out there with the guys and putting everything out there and just exposing yourself and coming out and winning a game. Those magic moments that you had through your career, the sense of real achievement at the end of a tough four-day game, or a one-day where it's been ebb and flow throughout the whole thing, you come out on top. The travel, the going abroad, pre-season trips, getting out there and having to get your fitness levels to a point, having to manage injuries, having to get there and think how you're going to get up the next morning and succeed because your knee's hurting or your back's in pieces. it's just really, really quite a liberating process, stripping that all away and saying, no, I'm no longer that person. What am I going to do? What's my next career? And you define yourself as a cricketer, as a professional sportsman. That's your identity. So I think it's understanding really when that's gone, what do you have left? And what you have actually is a lot, but you need to understand what that is and how you're going to be able to channel that through into your next career path, into your life. More importantly, how are you going to make sure that you have a new sense of purpose, new sense of identity? That's probably been the hardest thing. Honestly, I tried as best I could to be as prepared as I could. I put myself out there to use my networks, and I got some internships, managed to get a degree, and I did a lot of coaching to try and upskill myself, whether that was a route that I wanted to pursue. I don't think you really put yourself in a position until you retire and it's exposed to get yourself into the position you know what you want to do. All I probably wished I would have done was pursue a few more of my kind of entrepreneurial ideas, which may have come off, may have not, but with the security of sport around them, it might have given me a little bit more business acumen. I think one of the things I wished I'd probably upskilled was some commercial awareness, tangible commercial awareness. So actually using my networks to say, I need to learn a little bit more about this area, that area, get some experience in it. But really, I tried my best. But what I would say is that you've really, really got to use that downtime that you get, which there's so much of, to upskill yourself, get a degree, get a qualification, get a skill. Do lots of coaching, because you'll learn an immeasurable amount from coaching. But probably a bit, one of my regrets maybe with hindsight, I probably should have got some more commercial experience, only because I'm going to go more down the route of being fairly commercial in my next career, so I need to get some more skills. Honestly, before they start. As soon as you have a view on wanting to be a professional sportsman, I think you should really be looking at the broader sense of you as a person. Sport makes up one part of you, and yes, you've got to be dedicated, you've got to be incredibly focused on that to be the best that you can be in that. But it's so cliched, but it doesn't last forever. And even if you're at the top of your game, you're probably going to be mid-30s if you are incredibly lucky and have a really successful sporting career. That leaves you another 30 years to get a career. So you should always be looking at what makes you tick, what do you enjoy away from sport, and what motivates you. And if those things can be channeled into a career path, or you can see a career that suits those things that you like, then try and pursue that and get as much experience in it as you can. You know, for instance, if photography is something that you love doing, then do a photography course, go and work in a photography studio, get some experience with journalists that are always around at sports venues. It's one example, but use your passion or the stuff that you like to pursue careers pretty much as soon as you start. Explore stuff, because you'll quickly know what you do and you don't like, and it will help you so much when you actually come to the point when you need to retire and you need to get a job. And just, it will help you learn about yourself as well. It will provide a good distraction from the stresses and the strains that sport can give you. It'll also bring you down to earth from the highs. It'll keep you fairly level. I think a very well-rounded and grounded individual always succeeds more. So having other strings to your bow can only help you as a person more than 100%. And it goes back to an earlier answer that I made, was cricket becomes your identity whether you like it or not. Sport becomes your identity whether you like it or not. And you subconsciously define yourself by your career at that moment. I was a cricketer. So you need to have stuff going on outside of sport, not only to keep you sane and to provide that release, that downtime for you, but to also add more strings to your bow and allow you to be a more rounded individual. It's all people want to talk to you about sport, but if you can go and talk to them about current affairs, sport, your passion for F1, your passion for quantum physics, who knows? It shows a different side of you, and you've got different interests. It allows you to be more individual. It allows you to have a uniqueness to you, and it will build you and your identity for when you leave cricket, and it'll provide you with some good grounding to have your sport that you love and that you've done for such a long time, a big part of your life, allow you to have something else without stripped away. I strongly believe that. I think that's really important. You're going to go into the next phase of your career, your life, and you've had a high-performing career as your first career. You've been an elite level sportsman. You have reached the pinnacle, and you need your next career to excite you as much as your first career. You need it to be the right thing for you. So to explore that and dig down a little bit more into how that's going to happen, how you're going to achieve that, is very important. Finding that right career path can be hard. I think you need to go out there and talk to as many people as you can in as many different industries, careers, whatever it might be, and get some real tangible experience within 2 or 3 of the areas that you want to go into. Understand what's expected of you in those different careers, and get a feel for whether progressions in those careers will get you to the level that you need to be. Because let's be honest, you're not going to start at the top in your next career. You're going to have to work up there. So there's going to be moments where it's not great. But if you can see that there's light at the end of the tunnel, that there's a progression within a certain career that's going to get you to the point that's going to excite you, make you happy, then go for it. And you need to be in a job that's going to excite you and provide you with what sport used to give you. Now, you can find that in other ways. So if you need to have the adrenaline of winning, then maybe for you is getting deals done. If you want to stay within the sport and help other people, and you get your happiness from seeing other people succeed and following your footsteps, then coaching might be the way to go. But explore them, explore the opportunities and try them. You're never going to know until you try. And that's the biggest thing that I can say is have that moment, that time to step back, step away, then research, look at it, what might be that you want to do. Go and experience 2 or 3 of the top things that you've pulled out. Sit back again and make a decision based on what are the progressions within those careers. Where's that going to get me? Am I going to enjoy it? It's going to be tough for the first year, but I can see that might be a really good challenge and that will excite me. Move on through that year 2, year 3, year 4. Can I see myself getting up to the top of this career path? Can I see myself by the end of that career, I'll be where I was in the end of my first career. So that's probably the biggest thing I can say. And investing time to do it is the key. So allowing yourself that time when you retire to invest time in exploring different career paths is quite a liberating process and allows you to take some stress away. If you rush into something and don't like it, you'll stop, you'll then start something else, you then might not like that, you'll stop, you'll start something else, and before you know it, you're 2 years into your retirement and you've missed the boat a little bit. So take a step back, breathe, research some stuff that interests you, find the career paths in those different areas, go through your network, find people who you will have met throughout your career who work in those different areas, speak to them, try and get some experience, whether it be 1, 2, 3 days a week, work out if that's what you want to do, try the next thing, sit down, work out if that's what you want to do, and then pursue it.